Hello guys and welcome to another UFC card breakdown. Today we'll be breaking down and giving my picks for Fight Night Josh Emmett versus Ron Murphy at the Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. We got a 13 fight card with some interesting matchups and a few UFC debuts as well. But without further ado, let's jump straight into our first fight. We got a strawweight bout between Vanessa DEMOPOULOS and Talita ALECAR. Alright guys, I'm gonna be honest. I'm going to base my pick solely on the records and the UFC experience these ladies have. Vanessa DEMOPOULOS is 11-6 with her most recent fight coming off a loss. Talita ALECAR is also coming off a loss to Stephanie Luciano, which she already fought her before, I'm pretty sure. I think it was a draw, but not being able to beat her twice is a red flag for me, you know. So for this pick, I got Vanessa DEMOPOULOS to win here, and it will probably be by decision. So yeah, sweet. For our next fight, we got Victor Henry versus Pedro FALCAO. Victor Henry is coming off a loss to Charles Jourdain, where he got subbed. It was a pretty decent fight for him. He showed good striking. He showed some good takedown defense. And he showed that he can mix in grappling with the striking. But he ultimately got subbed. And I mean, it's not too bad of a loss. Charles Jourdain is a beast. But anyway, on the other hand, we got Pedro FALCAO, who's coming off a loss as well, where he got beat by Victor Hugo. It was a pretty close fight. In that fight, he showed that he has great level change and will shoot for takedowns. He also has some decent striking. But if he wants to win this fight, I think he's going to need to control Victor Henry at the cage and definitely control the pace here. He's going to try not to get gassed because he does gas out pretty fast. I mean, his last fight was a short notice, so I'll give him that. But yeah, but for my pick for this fight, I think Pedro FALCAO can pull an upset and pick up a nice win here over Victor Henry. All right, moving on. We got another strawweight fight, but this time it's between Loma Lookboonmee and Estela Nunes. We got Loma Lookboonmee picking up 3 wins in a row, with one of them being a finish, putting her at a 9-3 record, while her opponent, Estela Nunes, has a 6-5 record with a bad 4-fight losing streak. Outside of the record, I don't really know much about these ladies, but with what I've seen, Loma Lookboonmee has a slight UFC experience advantage. And with her hot win streak, she's definitely going to carry some momentum into this fight. So I got her winning here. Again, I'm pretty sure this is going to go to decision as well. Sweet. For our next fight, we got MCKEE going up against Daniel FRUNZA, who is making his UFC debut actually. MCKEE has been in and out of the UFC, losing all 4 of his appearances. To be fair, his debut was against Khamzat Chimaev, which is crazy. And he did recently lose to Chidi Njokuani, which was a pretty close fight. So again, I'll give him that, but I don't think MCKEE is UFC material. Other than being in tough matchups, MCKEE has a freaking crazy durable chin. This guy will not get knocked out by just anyone, you know. But he will definitely need to use his grappling here and use his massive 5 reach advantage over Daniel FRUNZA. But on the other hand, we got Daniel FRUNZA who will start fast and put on the pressure. He'll definitely push you back. He does have some good takedowns as well, and he packs a punch. This guy's got some crazy striking. He did get dropped in Dana White's Contender Series appearance, but he came back and finished that fight with a crazy TKO. So yeah, for this fight, I got Daniel FRUNZA here. He's making his UFC debut. He's coming off a 5-fight win streak, other than being by finishes. MCKEE, like I said, does have a durable chin, but I feel like Daniel FRUNZA is going to be able to break him down and get a KO/TKO win here. All right, so the third and last women's fight of the night is between Diana Belbita versus Dione Barbosa. Dione Belbita is 15-9 with a 2-fight losing streak. She's been kind of inconsistent all of her MMA career and has been able to pick up 2 victories in the UFC, but that's about it. On the other hand, we got Dione Barbosa, who is also coming off a loss, but before that, she strung up a 4-fight win streak, winning her Dana White Contender Series appearance as well, and winning her UFC debut last year. I got Dione Barbosa winning here by decision, and in my opinion, it's probably going to be a very lackluster fight, unlike our next fight between Davy Grant and Daniel Santos. I know these guys are not going to disappoint. We got Davy Grant, who picked up a win over Ramon Tavares in a crazy fight. Davy Grant is very underrated. He has great striking. He has a great variety of strikes. And recently he pulled a crazy reverse triangle choke, which are very, very freaking rare. And for his opponent, Daniel Santos is on a 2-fight win streak and will look to keep his momentum going here. He is very aggressive, very dangerous. He's also a good striker. He can mix in his grappling as well, but I feel like he thrives a little bit more in the striking, so he's going to want to keep this fight on the feet. After a scrappy fight and a good dogfight, I think Daniel Santos will pull out ahead in the scorecards and pick up his 3rd win in a row. So yeah, that's my prediction for this fight. Alright, so for the last fight of the prelims, we have a flyweight bout between Ade Osbourne and Luis Gurule. We got Luis Gurule, who is making his UFC debut. He won his Dana White Contender Series appearance. It was a split decision, so it was a pretty close fight. But Luis Gurule is just good all-round fighter. He can mix up his grappling with his boxing, and his boxing is pretty decent. And then he is also undefeated. He's 10-0. And then on the other hand, his opponent, Ade Osbourne, he's coming off a 3-fight losing streak. 2 of them where he got finished, and his most recent one was a unanimous decision loss to Ronaldo Rodriguez, which, to be honest, that loss isn't aging too well. Ronaldo Rodriguez just lost in the Mexico City card. And I mean, Ade Osbourne, he does have the speed advantage here, but this guy doesn't have any sense of urgency to finish a fight, you know. He can't string a win together to save his life. And I just feel like Luis Gurule is going to do more, and he's going to want this fight more than Ade Osbourne, so I got Gurule to win here. Alright guys, so for the opener of the main card, we got Taurus Finney going up against Robert Valentin. Dude, Taurus Finney is a unit. He has good grappling. He also has crazy ground and pound. He's very freaking strong and low-key kind of athletic for his bodybuilder build. The only thing that does worry me a little bit is his stamina. He does get gashed out, and he has shown it in his past fights. Then on the other hand, we got Robert Valentin. He's a great grappler, and he has some decent striking as well. He's coming off a loss to Loder, and funny enough, he did get beat by ground and pound. And what do you know? Taurus Finney is great at doing that. For my pick for this fight, I got Taurus Finney to win here, and I feel like he's gonna be able to finish Robert Valentin. Sweet. So for our next fight, we got Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert. Brad Tavares has fought like the biggest names in the middleweight, like Yoel Romero, Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya, and even DDP, who is the current champ. He has amazing takedown defense, and he has a speed advantage over Gerald, and he will thrive in crazy exchanges between these two. Gerald does have good striking as well, and he was low-key piecing up RDR in his last fight. I mean, he did get submitted at the end of the day, but on the feet, he was doing pretty good. He also has good takedown defense as well, and he does have some pretty good ground game and has some very dangerous submission game as well. But I don't see Gerald being able to take Brad Tavares down. Brad Tavares has just fought the better opponents, and I feel like Tavares is going to win here. Most likely, there's not going to be a finish in this fight, so I think it's going to go to decision as well. But alright, moving on to our heavyweight bout of the night. We got Kennedy NZECHUKWU versus Martin Buday. Alright, so Kennedy, since moving up to the heavyweight, he has been 2-0 with 2 KO wins. He's more athletic, he's faster, and more explosive than Martin Buday. And I don't see Martin Buday winning here. He's coming off a win over Arlovsky, where it went to split decision. It was a pretty close fight. And he's only lost 1 fight in the UFC, and it was to Shamil Gaziev, which is not a bad loss. And no hate, but he's a blob as well. And like I said earlier, Buday is less athletic, and I feel like Kennedy NZECHUKWU is gonna run through this guy, and he's gonna KO him in the first round. Cool. So moving on to our next fight, we got Cortavius Romious versus CHANG-HO. Romious is coming off a loss in his UFC debut to Bolaños, where it went to decision. Cortavius is very freaking strong. He has good grappling. He does have a not too good of a gas tank, and if he wants to win this fight, he needs to pressure, and he has to get his offense going, man. He can't have a late start, because CHANG-HO is very dangerous. Will damage Romious up pretty fast. CHANG-HO is very freaking fast. He's very scrappy. He has crazy cardio and good output. The thing though is that he does clinch a lot, and Romious being the stronger fighter, I think if they do get into a clinch, Romious might have the advantage. But ultimately, I feel like Cortavius Romious can pull a win here. It's going to be a risky fight to pick, and he is the underdog, but I feel like he can pull an upset here. Alrighty, cool. So we got Pat Sabatini versus Joanderson Brito for the next fight. This is going to be a very fun fight to watch. We got Pat Sabatini coming off a win over Pierce, where he submitted him. Pat Sabatini is a great wrestler. He does smudge wrestle a little bit though, but he will control you on the ground, and he does have good ground and pound as well. The thing is though, he's not that good of a striker. Then we got Joanderson Brito. He's coming off a loss to Gomez, which arguably Joanderson Brito won there. It was a very controversial decision. Joanderson Brito is very light on the feet. He also has great wrestling. He's a great striker, and he has big finishing potential. Like I said, this fight is going to be fun to watch unless Pat Sabatini just keeps Brito on the ground, smudging him and not letting him do anything and have some pretty bad control time. But if it stays on the feet, this is going to be very fun to watch. Joanderson Brito is a very good striker. For my pick, I think I got Joanderson Brito. I think he's going to win. Even though Pat Sabatini, I think, has the slight advantage on the ground, I feel like Joanderson Brito is going to be able to submit Pat Sabatini. So, yep, that's my pick. All right, moving on to the main event of the evening. We got Josh Emmett versus Leron Murphy. Man, it's been 15 months since Josh Emmett's last fight. And it was that crazy, scary KO win over Bryce Mitchell, where Josh Emmett put him to sleep with a huge right hand. Just staying on the same topic, Josh Emmett is a great striker, and he's arguably one of the hardest hitters in the featherweight division, but he does get damaged very easily, even though he's very durable. He is 40 years old. He's coming off almost a year and a half inactivity, and he's 40 years old. I feel like this guy is going to be one of those vets that still got it at his age, but I don't think it's going to be enough to put away Murphy. Murphy is a good striker. He has great variety as well. He can grapple too, but if he wants to beat Josh Emmett, he's going to need to control the range with his 3.5-inch reach advantage. And he does get dropped often, but just like Josh Emmett, he's very freaking durable. Like we saw in his last fight to Dan Ige, where he got dropped, I think, in the first round, and he still was able to get up and control the second and third round very decisively, which got him his unanimous decision win over Dan Ige. I can see Josh Emmett hurting Leron Murphy pretty early, but knowing Murphy's stamina and great recovery, I don't think Josh Emmett is gonna have enough to put him away. Therefore, I think Leron Murphy is gonna get the win here, most likely by decision. Like I said, if Josh Emmett doesn't get him out in the first round, I think Leron Murphy is gonna be able to win pretty easily going into the later rounds, you know. All right, so for my pick, I got Leron Murphy. But yeah, guys, that was our overlook and breakdown of these fights. We will see how we did this Saturday. For an Apex card, it's gonna be somewhat decent, not the best, not the worst. I think there's gonna be some fun moments, but man, that dead crowd just affects these fights so much. But anyway, hope you enjoyed, and we will see you guys in the next one. Adios.